everybody, to another episode of From There to Here. And I'm your host, Lawrence Temple. And today I have what I call a super couple, power couple. I mean, they're kind of humble, so they might not call themselves that, but I definitely give them that. These are the Careys, and they own Kenneth Grant Inspirations, photography company, and that does so much more than that. But I first found out about them through that, but also an event that they do yearly, maybe we can call it year-roundly now because it's expanded so much, called Cultuvue. And I'm going to let them talk to you about this fabulous thing and just whatever else comes up along the path of this conversation. So, uh, the Careys, James and Latoya, hello and welcome.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having us, sir.
Hello. Yeah, thank you again. Appreciate it.
Are you familiar with the term elevator speech?
Yes, I know just quite a bit about it through Latoya and her time with the what's that group called? The
I know
uh,
there was a networking group that I was a part of at
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Perfect. All right. So for those who don't know, an elevator speech is if you're in an elevator with someone, you're only going to be on there a few seconds. So elevator speech is if they ask you about yourself and you had to boil it, your essence down in a few seconds about what you're about or who you are, that's your elevator speech. So if I could ask you all, either together, individually, whatever, what would be your elevator speech, kind of summing up what you're about, if that's a fair question?
All right. So two things. Coming from a nonprofit and also for a for-profit. Uh, Kenneth Grant Inspirations is here to change just the everyday normal uh, images into that of premier images. And so that's what we set out to do through our ability to use the skill and the knowledge in which we've gained to really enhance and capture the essence of individuals. And when it comes to Cultuvue, what we say is, hey, listen, from a 2020 Google search, we have now walked into a realm by which we want to empower, to educate, and to enhance the imagery of Black individuals. And that's just not just locally, but what we have our sights set on is to really enhance us as a whole, as a community.
Well, I know, and Miss Carey, do you want to add anything to that, or do you co-sign that or
I
more?
co-sign on that. That was well said.
I thought so too. I know I had personal dealings with both aspects of what you do. My son's a musician, and he did a photo shoot with you all back around that time, and we were blown away with all of the non-camera things you did, like talking with him and kind of really getting a sense of the kind of person that he was, and those pictures they captured that. And then of course, Cultuvue, uh, which I'm going to ask you to explain in just a moment for those who don't know. We went to that event when it was called Represent, I believe, and we were just blown away by the images of African American leaders and people doing great things. And as an adult, I thought I'd been there, done that, seen it all, and I still felt like a little kid walking through there. So it's a very powerful thing that you all are doing. For someone who doesn't know what Cultuvue is, could you all share what it is?
Cultuvue is a word that was derived from the combining of two root words, one being culture, the other one being view. And what we wanted to do, in essence, with Cultuvue is to allow the not just the Black community, but all surrounding communities to view our culture through a different lens. As we said before, a 2020 Google search allowed us to walk into this realm in which we're walking now. And what does that mean by that? We were doing a project for a client who called in. They were like, "Hey, listen, can you do a Black History campaign for us for the 2021?" And we were like, "No problem." And what I wanted to do as just someone who's a creator is just to get inspired. So I went to Google just to get some imagery in my head to say, hey, listen, how can we go forward with this particular, campaign?
Hmm.
And I typed in 2 words, black male. And what came back, the search results was like alarming. 95% of it showed us either we were incarcerated, on drugs, or selling drugs. Of course, they had a few sprinkled in Black Panther images, but other than that, it was really a negative vibe when looking at those images. And so, what we wanted to do is just use what we do to combat that and to come against those negative stereotypes. And so that's how Cultuvue was birthed. And then just letting everyone know what Cultuvue actually means and how we actually came up to that name. And like you said before, when we originally started this particular mission, we actually titled our movement Represent, because we wanted to represent positive Black imagery
Okay.
to the community. And then a couple of years after that, that's when we switched the name to Cultuvue.
Well, I've just as a Daytona person, I've gotten to see how it's grown and grown over time, over this short period of time, and it seemed like it went to where only a few people seemed to know about it, to seem like everybody knew about it. And with the opening night events at night and all of it's just I'm a super fan of what you all are doing.
Thank
Can you
you.
talk to us, either one of you, both of us, about both of you, about how a vision? I would imagine the things Cultuvue is doing right now are different or bigger than what you saw at the beginning. So what is that journey like? Like as a vision grows and adds to it, how does that happen? If I'm making sense.
If I may, I'll go back a little bit to how in the very beginning, of course, that Google search happened, and then further research actually confirmed what we did not know, which was that 1.2% of all artwork displayed in major galleries in the US don't show proper representation of people of color. And so that marked with the Google search, it basically was an invitation to do something about that.
Okay.
As we are all presented with things that are not right in the world, honestly, we're also given an opportunity to say, okay, do I say it's a shame and I just shake my head, or do I
Okay.
say, what can we do? And I remember asking James that very question, what can we do? And he said, clearly, we would just use what was in our hands. And what was in our hands is still in our hands, which is a camera.
Okay.
And so we set out to simply, as mentioned, represent the and efface the negative narrative that's out there about the Black community and only showing one sect of the community. We went from that, and the evolution included so many different things, from a 2-day event to months long, to now it's a traveling exhibit, to a slew of things. But I'll tell you, one of the things that we lean heavily on is the voice of the community.
Okay.
So that the community actually lets us know, we'd like to see this. We'd love to learn more about that. Have you considered this idea? And so as they share the vision with us, we say okay. For the most part, we may be able to make that very thing happen.
Okay.
And so as a result, in the last 5 years, so many great things have happened. We've had and portrayed over 350 pieces of artwork. We have been in multiple locations. We've gone from, like I said, a 2-day event to having it a month to 2 months long, to
Hmm.
now we're in different locations throughout the Volusia County area. This year, we commemorated our 5 years by being in a gallery, which again goes hand
Hmm.
in hand with combating that stat that I mentioned earlier.
Yes.
And so we just lean heavily on the voice of the community. We listen to the voice of the community, and have you continue to evolve as a result. A part of it has also been just to become a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Hmm.
That has helped as well, so that again, that this isn't just a one-time thing, but it's something annually that our audience looks forward to.
Have you, maybe either from talking or watching or listening, when people come who are not of color, well, maybe I'll expand this to both. Whether people are of color or not, what are some surprises that you see? What are the things I'm sorry, let me rephrase it. What is it that seems to surprise people who come to this event who have not seen these images before? What is it about your event and these pictures that seems to surprise some of your guests, whether they are of color or not?
I think for me, what's a surprise is the narratives. It's just not a gallery filled with beautiful and pretty pictures, but there is a story, a captivating story that goes along with that image. And um, what is a surprise is, if you walk in and you're like, that's my colleague, or that's my neighbor, or that's my aunt.
Mhm.
But then you read the stories and then you learn something that you just didn't know. And you were like, well, I live right next door to this individual and I didn't know this about them and I didn't know they achieved this or
Mhm.
they've, this has been a struggle or a challenge in their life. And so I think everything is enriched when they not only see the beauty of the canvas on the canvases, but also be able to just read the stories and learn something new about even an individual that they may be very much familiar with.
And I
Uh,
can, oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
just to throw in a couple of things, when like people of color, I just remember going back from the original first time in which we had the exhibit to even on today. When Black people come in, is they get almost like a Wakanda type of feel. Like, wow, this is actually Black excellence, and we get to see it in such a really cool, captured way. And so
Yes.
that's awesome. But then people who are outside our culture, there are individuals who come in and very supportive. Oh my goodness! When we just showed, I had a show down in New Smyrna. The love, the exposure
Yes.
was sometimes overwhelming to them, and which is awesome. And but then there was this one experience that we had where back in 2023, someone outside of the race came in and it was like they heard. I heard there was some artwork in this place. She walked around for 30 seconds and came back and was like, I didn't see any art. And we were sort of taken aback, but
Mm,
it really pushed us even
mm,
more, and it helped evolve us to even name our collections now, and it's the We Are Art
yeah.
collection. So we just wanted to combat that. Say, hey, listen, even though you may not feel that way, we now have to assume, we now have to take on that type of label that we are art. We're beauty within ourselves. Our stories, as Latoya said, our
Yes.
narratives help to really convey the beauty in which God has really created us in. And so, if we can begin to take on that self esteem to really encourage ourselves to say that we're more than what people say or think that we are,
Yeah.
when we begin to take on positive attributes about ourselves, I think then we can reinstill hope back to our community. So different responses, but all in all, we're taking everything in and using that as motivation.
I got a chance to share at one of your events, but my goddaughter, who's in high school now, she was in middle school, the beginning of high school at the time, and she said she wanted to be in the medical field. And we took pictures of her in front of the display of area doctors and stuff. And she's proceeded, she's in like the medical academy of her high school. She's getting awards for that. And she's kind of quiet girl, and she's coming out of her shell and out of her shell and more confident. And I know that just seeing those images was a big chunk of her progression. So she's kind of living proof of what you're talking about.
Awesome, awesome.
Uh, now you have Cultuvue, which is a 501c, the nonprofit, the exhibitions and things, but you still have your business, Kenneth Grant Inspirations. I'm sure people ask you this all the time. How do you balance, if balance is even the right word, your nonprofit activities with your for-profit activities, which is the bread and butter that keeps the lights on How do you do that?
Woo, that is still a work in progress.
Hmm.
When you say balance, I think it has gotten better the more and more in which we navigate this experience year after year. I would say back in 2022, when the executive team at One Daytona, who we partner with for our first couple of years
Hmm.
to host our exhibits, when they came back to us and was like, "Hey, can you scale this?" And because we first started off in a 1,300 square foot location, it was such a great hit that they wanted to see if we can scale to a 6,600 square foot facility, and we were like, "Yes!" And in doing so with that, yes, a lot of things came into play. The
Hmm.
organization, the administration portion, just so many different aspects. We were now just trying to game plan on how in the world can we create a system by which we can properly apply and make sure that each for profit and nonprofit, they're both put together in excellence. And so this year, having it at a gallery, it allowed us not to, have a lot of our time consumed being at a gallery in itself, being there every day, manning it, making sure
Hmm.
volunteers are there. Great that the staff of Southeast Museum of Photography, they're able to take that off of us and we can still
Okay.
focus on our for-profit. So we're continuing to learn,
Okay.
continue to work it out, and it's now leaning on other individuals to come alongside us and to help us and to create systems, to create infrastructure, just to ensure that we're, um, you know, uh, are delegating duties to other individuals to help our load. And so we're still on, trying to, make sure best practices are on both ends. But as we continue to
Mm.
grow, things are getting better.
I think that also to add,
Yeah.
the first 4 years felt more like the foundational years of building or solidifying the foundation itself.
Hmm.
And for me, this year is more of a year of rest. And I truly try to walk in that where it's not so overwhelming because of those the infrastructure that we now have in place.
Yeah.
Um, and we also have come to the understanding that the more uh, planning that you do as far out as you can without the stress of we need that tomorrow has actually been very helpful as well.
Okay.
So yeah.
Yeah. How about you both hop in the time machine with me for a moment? Because one of the points of our podcast from there to here is kind of tracing from there in the past to what's going on now. Let's put you both in, I don't know, the 10th grade. What did you think your future was as far as career or what I'm going to do when I grow up? What were each of you thinking then, and how different is what you're doing now from what you thought then?
Well, that's a great question. Immediately, I went back to what I thought I wanted to be. And honestly, at the time, I believed that I was going to go to the military, specifically the Navy. I wanted to travel, I
Okay.
wanted to meet lots of people and just get out of my environment. I felt like I was just too big for the area or the city in which I was in, and
Hmm.
that was my focus. My mom prayed against that.
Uh,
She did because she knew me quite well, and that would not have been the best fit for me. But
okay.
I was bent on going to the military.
Okay.
And
Uh,
for me, 10th grade, I think this is why I'm so passionate about Cultuvue because I know when I was coming up, and especially in high school,
mhm.
the media targeted a lot of black males to either do athletics or become an entertainer, rapper,
Yeah.
singer. And so, I played football and I found out I was good at it. And so I thought I
Okay.
was going to be in somebody's league. I set my mind to say, hey, listen, I'm going to be in the Arena League, Canadian Football League,
Okay.
somebody's league. And so that was my mindset in 10th grade. So yeah, completely different.
Wow.
Completely different.
Okay. That. And the where did the skills that you both use now, for the photography skills, the business skills, the things that make your business and your 501 work, where did you learn to do the things that you do? Was it college, life? What was it that gave you the tools you've got that you use every day?
I think it's a great mixture of both. When you're talking about secondary education and also life education.
Okay.
A lot of people, especially when you go to school, I went to school for first business administration, and I changed it up to film and video production.
Okay.
That's the lane in which I did for 12 years. Got burnt out. I didn't realize, how many hours you actually put into that particular field. But film and video production is what really got me when I was at Florida Atlantic University. Um, after finishing that program up there, again, I got my feet wet in the industry. And then life happens. You do these odds and ends. You wonder why you're doing this particular, you're in this lane, and not
Yeah.
knowing that all these things you're learning skills that will culminate into what you're presently doing. And
Yeah.
so, with me, um, my aunt, she was a professional photographer down in South Florida. Once we made a decision to move up here 16 years ago,
Hmm.
but I still felt an itch to be creative. So I would ask her, "Hey, listen, I know I don't want to go back into film and video production. At least can you send your camera up here?" I had a bad photography experience. I asked her to send her camera up so at least I can learn that.
Hmm.
And what I found out that the lighting skills, the storytelling that I learned in film and video production, I just transitioned that over to photography. And
Okay.
so that was a great aid in what I'm doing right now. And then just a lot of life skills of trying to get to know people, interpersonal skills, and things of that nature. That conjoined with being, a little knowledgeable with lighting and camera
Okay.
and that thing, it helped. It is definitely helping to where I am right
Okay. That makes a lot of sense. That life is quite the teacher. I see that. Miss Carol, are you still there? I know your screen is dark. Can you still hear us? I might have lost her there for.
now. I could let me speak for her. Is that
Yeah.
after high school, she thought she was going to also be a culinary artist as well, and so she actually went to college to become a chef. Uh,
Okay.
she didn't go down that direction, but she jumped into a banking um, career. And she
Okay.
did that for 14 years. And so those skills that she learned in the banking world, in the banking field, it helped translate to now doing business. Because a lot of people, especially when it comes to photographers, I had this wild, crazy stat that I try to open up every time I talk to, especially a group of photographers, is that in the first 2 years of business, of opening their business, photography, 85% go out of business.
Goodness.
And the reason being is, yes, we're great at being creatives, but we're not great at the business of photography. And then having Latoya with that business mindset, some of the financial world in which she was really intermingled in, it helped us when we transitioned over to full-time business. So
See that. You co-sign that description there, Miss Kara?
I do. I did. At one point I thought, okay, again, back to wanting to travel and see the world. And another outlet for that was let's be a chef. Let's be a chef on a cruise line. So let's go
Okay.
to school for
Still
culinary arts.
going places.
But why do that when you don't even like to cook?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I know, right?
Yeah.
That's another story for
All right.
another day. However, I'll say that even that experience, even though I didn't pursue it, it still helped me in what it is that we do today because I learned so much about the hospitality industry.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the greatest assets to what we do today. We offer experience. We don't just offer services or packages. When you come and you decide that you want to use our services, it's actually an experience that you're signing up for, and so it all worked out in the end.
Okay, I see that. And as I said, we've had the experience of both Cultuvue and what you all do professionally, and we can definitely co-sign of the experience part. And it's not just quality photos, but the whole thing. Um, now you all, how long you all are a married couple? And I bring it up because you're violating one of the rules that people often say, which is that spouses shouldn't work together or be in business together. I've heard that before. So how do you make that work or balance that, the fact that you are married but also working together? How do you do that, if my question makes sense?
I would say this right here. That is a valid rule. Um, that to be able to work with your spouse is a very unique situation, and I know early on that really assisted us in the early beginnings. Was know your lane, define your roles.
Okay.
Um, and in doing so, you can better communicate with each other as far
Okay.
as what your expectations are, who's going to be responsible for this, how is when you have a particular project, what are you bringing to the table to help this project succeed?
Hmm.
And so, what we wanted to do is just, hey, listen, define what our roles are. Me, I'm the creative. I love seeing things that people really don't see just to the normal eye. I love that. Latoya, she's the visionary though. If you want to be able to cast vision, large vision, because a lot of times me, I would see something and I could be like, well, it's going to be great, it's going to be awesome, but sometimes I don't magnify the impact the way it should. And so she's able to do that. She handles a lot of the money. And people start talking money with me, I'll be like, you know what? I have such a heart. I will be giving work away, and that is not, good for when you're doing a for-profit business. And Latoya, she's very stern, but yet loving at the same time when it comes to handling money and talking business and numbers. Sometimes I want to stick my finger in my ear while she's talking the numbers because my heart, I be, oh come on, we can do it for $200, and she's like,
Hmm.
$2,000, and I'm like, oh, and so
Yeah.
sometimes so that I don't mess business up,
Okay.
I just got to walk away and let her deal with it. But then when it comes to ensuring that the project has a creative flair to it, then that's me. So just knowing our roles, knowing, hey, what are we bringing to the table to make this thing successful? And so that is one thing that I would really champion, encourage individuals. Hey, listen, if you're trying to go into a business with your spouse, ensure that there are clearly defined roles
Wow. That's
and communicate those.
that is great advice. We don't often hear. Miss Carey, do you have anything to add on to that?
No, I agree wholeheartedly. It's important that each one of us play to what's our strengths and lean on each other in other areas. So yes,
Mm.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay. Um, well, I last two questions. I always do this mythical question. So let's say you all have a friend and they have a child, son or daughter, who's a senior in high school. They're about to graduate. And this is a good kid, is always good grades, done all the right things, but they're just not sure what they want to quote unquote do with their life. So your friend says, hey, you all take them out to lunch and just talk to them because I admire you all so much, and maybe you all can say some things that'll kind of help them. So if you're in that imaginary conversation with little Billy or little Sally, what could you see yourself saying to to them in that situation?
To me, number one, I want to talk in some coded language, but hoping that the individual would understand. Find out what makes your baby jump.
Mm,
What does that mean? That means
okay.
that, hey, listen, find out what it is that excites you from the inside. What is it that you do that, listen, if you could not get paid for and just enjoy doing this one particular thing, what would that be? Because a lot of times our purpose is wrapped up in how we are wired.
Mm,
A lot of times what we try to do is get into something that we feel is safe, try to do something that we know will meet the bills. Great,
mm,
yes, we're gonna be concerned about that, but also we will also want to find what brings about a fulfillment on the inside,
yeah,
because you can make as much money as you want to, but if there is no fulfillment, life will still be empty. And so number one, listen, what excites you? What gets you going? What in the morning when you wake up, besides food, besides more sleep, what is that one
yeah.
thing that you have on your mind? And so that's one thing that I would love to find out, and then I would tailor the further of my conversation around that.
That's very, that when you phrase it that way, it makes the baby jump. That I really felt like lightning hit me in the chest when you said that. I get it. I get the biblical analogy on that. Very powerful. Ms. Carey, do you have anything to tell Billy or Sally? This will be our last question.
I think I would tell Billy or Sally, I would find out from them. The one question I would want to know is, what's the one thing that you constantly hear that people tell you that you're great at?
Mm,
Or is it that you're a writer, like you write really well, or you speak really well, or you're creative, you can draw well? What is that one thing you continue to hear? It's like how we tell our clients here, what's that one outfit that you put on every time you put on that outfit and you go out into the world, someone's complimenting you on it.
mm.
And they are able to tell me what color that is. And I say to them, well, that's your signature color. So we want you to bring that signature color to your portrait session. Well, likewise, I would tell Billy or Sally that one thing those few things that you continue to hear, it's time to hone in on that, because you're constantly being reminded of what you're good at and even what your purpose is, but we don't always pay attention to that. So if I could get them to center their mind around what they continuously hear, and it's almost innate to them, so it comes so natural and so easy, they don't even think it's a talent or a gift.
Okay.
It's almost like, well, everybody can do it, but everybody doesn't do it. So I would just get them to hone in on that and then explore that. And again, just work on maximizing that one thing that they continuously hear that they are really good and great at.
I appreciate that. That's good. I'm glad you shared that. That's going to help a lot of Billies and Sallys and mommies out there. I appreciate this. This is the time you all have spent and shared with us.